Zelensky will get there eventually on engaging in peace deal. U.S. Vice President Vance expressed confidence Monday that Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky would eventually agree to discuss peace with Russia after Ukrainian's president conveyed a lack of respect during his televised White House meeting Friday with Trump, according to France 24, CNN and Fox News. As Vance stated, Zelensky showed a clear unwillingness to engage in the peace process sought by his U.S. counterpart.
He showed a clear unwillingness to engage in the peace process that President Trump has said is the policy of the American people and of their president. That's the real breakdown.
Vance is wrong in his assessment. Respect is not a prerequisite for negotiations when one side is fighting for its survival against an aggressor. Ukraine has every right to demand peace on its own terms, not under pressure or dictated by those who have never experienced war firsthand. Zelensky's stance is not about disrespect, it's about defending Ukrainian sovereignty and ensuring that any peace agreement does not lead to further aggression. If Vance truly wants a just and lasting peace, he should focus on holding Russia accountable rather than criticizing the leader of a country fighting for its very existence. At the same time, he added that the president of Ukraine will have to make a deal, and this will eventually happen.
I think Zelensky wasn't yet there, and I think, frankly, now still isn't there, but I think he'll get there eventually. He has to.
Vance's comments on whether Zelensky could return to the White House if he said he was ready to discuss a peace plan. Vance said that if Zelensky engaged seriously on the details, the US would be ready to talk again. Vance concluded, "I think that if he called and had a serious proposal for how he was going to engage in the process, look, some details matter that we are already working on with the Russians. We have talked with some of our allies. He needs to engage seriously on the details." Vance's statement implies that Ukraine must conform to negotiations already shaped by external players, including Russia, rather than having a sovereign voice and determining its own future. This approach undermines Ukrainians' right to self-determination and ignores the reality that Russia is the aggressor, not an equal negotiating partner. Demanding that Zelensky engage seriously on a peace plan while negotiations are being discussed behind Ukrainians' back is not diplomacy, it's coercion. True peace cannot be achieved through pressure or by forcing Ukraine to accept terms dictated by those who have more interest in ending the war on paper than ensuring lasting security. If the US is committed to a just resolution, it should focus on supporting Ukrainians' position rather than legitimizing Russian narratives. A closed-door meeting of the Verkhovna Rada Committee on National Security, Defense and Intelligence considered a negative scenario with the possible termination of U.S. military assistance to Ukraine. MP and member of the Rada's Defense Committee, Fedor Venislavsky, told RBC Ukraine. Ukraine has a safety margin of about 6 months even without systemic support from the United States. However, the situation will become much more complicated, so the government is working to find alternative sources of critical weapons. Venislavsky said, "Over the past 3 years, our military-industrial complex has gained quite a lot of capacity and is able to neutralize threats and risks." In the meantime, he acknowledged that only the United States can supply some types of weapons, such as air defense systems and long-range precision-guided missile systems. For now, the main goal is to provide the Ukrainian air defense forces with enough means to repel air attacks, as well as to find ways to replace critical American weapons.
I think that Ukraine definitely has a safety margin of about 6 months, even without systematic assistance from the United States. But it will be much more difficult, of course. Therefore, everyone is now working, the President's team, the Verkhovna Rada, and our committee, to consider options for compensating for this quantity and quality of weapons that the United States may stop or have already stopped providing us with.
This statement highlights the urgent reality Ukraine faces. While the country may have a temporary safety margin, the absence of systematic U.S. assistance will make its defense significantly more difficult. War is not just about surviving the next 6 months, it's about long-term security, and any disruption in military support plays directly into Russia's hands. Ukraine's leadership is right to explore alternative solutions, but Western allies must recognize that reducing aid at this critical moment would not only prolong the war but also increase the overall cost, both in human lives and global stability. A strong, well-equipped Ukraine is the best guarantee of peace, not half measures or temporary fixes. France says US hold on military aid makes peace in Ukraine distant. The French government opposed the termination of US military aid to Ukraine. Minister for European Affairs Benjamin Haddad said it would delay the peaceful settlement of the war in Ukraine.
Fundamentally, if you want peace, does a decision to suspend arms to Ukraine reinforce peace, or does it make it more distant? It makes it more distant because it only strengthens the hand of the aggressor on the ground, which is Russia.
This statement is absolutely correct. Cutting off military aid to Ukraine does not bring peace. It only emboldens Russia to continue its aggression with even greater confidence. History has shown that appeasement and weakness in the face of an expansionist regime do not lead to peace, but rather to further escalation. If the goal is just and lasting peace, the only way to achieve it is by ensuring that Ukraine has the means to defend itself. Strengthening Ukraine's position on the battlefield is what will force Russia to the negotiating table on fair terms, not rewarding the aggressor by weakening its opponent. European Commission had presents plan to rearmament of Europe. The plan envisages mobilization of 800 billion euros and includes loans worth 150 billion for defense needs. The funds will be used for the production of air defense equipment and modernization of defense infrastructure among Europe member states, Sky News reports. The European Commission has announced a major initiative to strengthen Europe's defense capabilities amid the threats facing the continent. European President Ursula von der Leyen said that Europe is ready to invest more than 150 billion euros in defense, which should be used to produce modern air defense equipment. This step is part of a strategic plan that von der Leyen described as Rearming Europe. One of the main aspects of this plan is to expand the use of public funding in the defense sector, which will allow European countries to make large-scale investments in the development and production of new defense technologies. In addition, the European plans to create a new loan facility worth 150 billion euros to help European member states invest in the modernization of their armies. Von der Leyen also emphasized the importance of using the European budget to finance defense initiatives. One of the main tasks is to ensure the mobilization of private capital through the Savings and Investment Union and the European Investment Bank, which will allow to attract additional funds for the development of the defense industry. This is Europe's moment, and we must live up to it, Ursula von der Leyen emphasized. In total, these steps are aimed at mobilization about 800 billion euros to create a powerful defense capability. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said that Europe needs to be urgently rearmed. Following the summit in London, Ursula von der Leyen said that European leaders had held a constructive and frank discussion on what is needed to put Ukraine in a position of strength. According to her, Ukraine needs comprehensive security guarantees that will strengthen its economic and military positions. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe.